Georgia prepares for a quarterfinal game against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. No Carson Beck, Gunner Stockton at the helm. What's everybody saying about Stockton and Georgia's chances? Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. Great to have you guys along. Remember to subscribe and make us your first listen every day. You can check us out on YouTube and, of course, the audio version on Spotify, Apple iTunes, wherever you find your podcasts. I'm Chris Gordy, and we're in New Orleans ahead of the Sugar Bowl matchup between Georgia and Notre Dame. We're able to catch up with a number of Georgia players ahead of this one. And first off, we caught up with Gunner Stockton, kind of talking about his preparation now with Carson Beck injured and taking over at the helm. Here was a few minutes with Gunner Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people say it's just another game, but it's Notre Dame's a really good football team, and I'm really excited to play in the Sugar Bowl.
Folks want to know, the bigger popular question on the day has been about your cows. About how many do you have, and kind of tell us exactly where that passion comes from.
Yeah, I have 14 of them, and I got them for Christmas when I was I think a sophomore, so. That was pretty cool deal.
You know, you have who you are off the field, but then when it steps on the field, it seems a little bit like you're a different person. What is it in you that sort of changes when you step out there on that field and are playing quarterback for this team?
Yeah, I think it's just the mindset of just when you step on the field, it's a little different, and just playing for my teammates, my coaches is the biggest thing.
Stetson was here, he always used to say like he liked to get hit early in the game to feel like he was sort of in the game, getting the flow, get the juices going. Are you sort of similar in that regard?
Yeah, I think it helps a little bit, get the juices going like Stet said.
I got a chance to talk to Oscar and Drew about you being a roommate. How are those guys as roommates, and what's it like living with them?
They're awesome. I've known Drew for a long time, and I roomed with Oscar my freshman year in the dorms, so they're really great friends.
Gunnar, how vital are these weeks off kind of helped you in kind of game planning, how much time you spent with Coach Bobo and kind of working on a game plan that you're most comfortable with getting ready for this game?
Yeah, I think the time off, if you use it correctly, it can be an advantage. But just using it correctly is the biggest thing.
What were those conversations like with Coach Bobo, kind of going over the game plan and how to attack in this game?
Yeah, I mean, early, we didn't know who we were playing, so wasn't much game plan going on, but it's been fun preparing for this game.
Also, we were able to catch up for a few minutes with Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator, talking about what these last couple weeks have been like in game planning and setting this offensive game plan around Gunner Stockton now taking over a quarterback for Carson Beck. Here was Mike Bobo.
What have the last 3 weeks been like for you, having to, break in a new quarterback?
Well, I think we benefited from having the bye, first of all. We didn't know who our opponent was, so we really focused on ourselves. And it gave us a chance to go back basically to like fall camp or spring practice where we worked situational football, went back to fundamentals, and were able to put Gunnar in a lot of those situations, extra third down periods, extra red zone periods, extra 2-minute periods. And we were going to do that anyway with our football team, but now he's out there with the ones. And he got a lot of reps that are quality reps against a quality football team, R1 defense. So I think that was what it was to start. And then as we started game planning for our opponent, when we found out it was going to be Notre Dame, is putting together a game plan that we feel gives us the best chance to attack them with Gunnar being a quarterback.
How do you think he's handled the past 3 weeks, like with the increased reps and now the pressure of being the, QB1?
Yeah, I think he's handled it extremely well. I mentioned this the other day in the press conference. Going into this year, I challenged him even at the start of the year that I want you to prepare like you're the starter every week. And he took that to heart. And the previous year, he really didn't prepare like he did this year. And I think the way he prepared from the start of camp all through every game, game by game, even though he wasn't in the game, has put him in a position now, and it's his time. He knows what it's like to prepare as a starter because he's done it all year. And been very proud of him. I think he's going to be prepared as any guy I've ever had. And I just wanted him to go out there and be confident and have fun playing in this great opportunity, this great matchup against a very, very good football team.
Are you expecting more blitzes on third down as they try to rattle a younger quarterback, or not younger, but someone who hasn't had as many game reps?
Yeah, I mean, I think we expect any and everything from Notre Dame. First of all, they're very good defensively. One of the best defenses in the country, one of the best defenses we've seen, on tape. They play with high energy. They're very opportunistic, getting takeaways. They do that through coverage. They do that through pressure packages that they have. And you talk to any defensive coaches. You're always trying to move the quarterback and get him off your spot and rally. So, that's really everybody's game plan going into the game, and you're probably going to see a little bit more because, Gunner's a first-time starter. But Gunner's not the only one out there. We got 10 other guys out there on the field, and he knows that. And it's not his job to try to be a hero on every play. Reserve the right to punt it, reserve the right to throw the ball away. Just play football and be smart.
I think everybody wants to know more about Gunner, but I just had a simple question, like what makes Gunner a good quarterback?
To me, I think he can do a little bit of everything. What makes him a good quarterback? I think he has a innate ability to make plays. And a lot of times people say make plays. You think run, extend, run and get a first down. But I think he has the ability to extend plays with his legs to create opportunities to throw the ball downfield.
How much did that second half of the SEC championship game really help him to get real game experience against a really elite defense?
Well, it didn't hurt that he had to go out there and play against Texas, who is, like you said, a very good defense. And we're playing a tough defense this week in Notre Dame, who is one of the top defenses in the country. But at the same token, his job is to go out and lead this football team and play within our offense. And play within our offense sometimes means it might be an extended play, but he's got 10 other guys around him. He doesn't have to do everything by himself. And that's the job of a quarterback, knowing when to, he's creating and knowing when I can go scramble, get that first down, or I can scramble a little longer and throw the ball downfield, or when I got to throw that football away. Sometimes you make some decisions you want back, like the one in the Texas game, but hopefully we learn from those things. And again, I want him to go out there and play hard for his teammates and have fun playing the game that he loves.
Feels like even his play, I mean, if you guys can't run the football effectively, it's all that's null. Like, y'all are still going to have to do that effectively.
Yeah, I mean, that's really any game. You got to be able to run the football effectively. Sometimes running the football effectively might not be a lot of rush yards, but you continue to hand that ball off, which makes these defenses honor the run, which opens up the passing game as well.
Also, we caught up with Tate Ratledge, the big offensive lineman, who obviously has been a big focal point of this team and a leader of this team, and obviously going through the injury this year, be able to come back from that tightrope surgery. And we caught up with Tate Ratledge talking about this Georgia team. What's it? Obviously, when you have an injury, you never know. I mean, is this it? Am I done? How hard did you have to work and battle back to get back and be able to play, but not just play, but play at a high level?
It wasn't easy, for sure. With this injury, it's a nagging injury, but just rehabbing every day in there, getting treatment, rehabbing, still getting treatment and rehabbing, and it meant a lot for me to get back out here. There was no doubt in my mind that I was going to end up not playing again this year. I was going to get back as soon as I could, even if it was maybe a little bit too early, but I was going to make sure I got out there.
I talked to Warren. He said you might be even a little bit better than you were before pre-injury. How do you feel, at least, physically and all that?
I feel good. Just getting in there, if something's bugging me with it, getting there and getting treatment, but overall it's pretty good.
Obviously the big story, Gunnar taking over here. What have you seen from him throughout the year and lets you guys know that he's ready for this moment?
I mean, I was just saying, our offensive line watches film every Monday and Wednesday. We stand there and watch a couple games, snap tape, stuff like that. He's in there with us every time watching tape until we leave. So just seeing how he prepared when he was a backup, and then now even as a starter, he's preparing great. And just seeing the way he carries himself and goes about his business.
How much did you guys really need that time off, playing the multiple overtime games and another overtime game in the SEC championship game? It feels like you guys really could benefit from this time off.
I mean, I think anybody this time of year can use time off, but that's either to your advantage or your disadvantage depending on how you handle it. Not playing a game in a long time could be at your disadvantage. It just depends on how you handle it and go about your practices.
What is it about this O-line group? You guys have had guys come and go throughout the last couple of years. It just always feels like next man up. But this group, what makes this group so special?
I think it's just the grit we have. I think there's a never quit mentality. No matter what happens to play before, we're right back at it the next play, no matter what happens.
All right, still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. First, today's episode presented to you by our friends over at the GameTime app. And look, you guys, if you're looking for tickets for any games throughout this bowl season, any big concert tickets, whatever the big event is, GameTime has got you covered. And with the new GameTime Picks feature, they're going to make getting tickets to live events even easier for you. They're going to filter out all the fluff, and you're going to find exactly what you're looking for at a low price, and that is on the GameTime app. And, of course, plenty of great ways to use the GameTime app. I love doing the all-in pricing feature. You toggle that one on. It's going to take out all those excess fees, and they're going to show you exactly what the price is. Of course, you can do first-hand view and see exactly what your view from in the stadium is going to look like in your seats, so you know what to expect before you buy the tickets. Go take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the GameTime app. And if you never subscribed before, never signed up rather, go use our code LOCKEDONCollege. That's going to get you $20 off your first order over at the GameTime app. Again, LOCKEDONCollege. Try that today on the GameTime app. Get $20 off your first order and take advantage of all the great opportunities and great tickets that GameTime has. We've used them for a couple NFL games recently, college games. You could do it too with the GameTime app. Continue on here, Locked On SEC from New Orleans ahead of the Sugar Bowl quarterfinal matchup between Notre Dame and the Georgia Bulldogs. And we caught up with a couple of Georgia Bulldogs along the way. Warren Brinson, one of the big pieces on that defensive line, we were able to talk with him about the season up till now and ahead of this matchup. Spent a couple minutes here with Warren Brinson of the Georgia Bulldogs. And Warren, what's this been like, man? The longest break I think you guys have had in a while with some time off. What's this been like, getting a little time off your feet?
Yeah, like Coach Smart said, we've been on the road all year. But I mean, honestly, at Georgia, man, it's just all work, man. You don't really look at it as a break; you just look at it as a recovery period, just to get your body ready for the next step, man. Every day we had off, I was still in the facility, getting my body right, going into the training room, doing things, recovering. So I look at it as a long recovery period, just to get my body ready for the next little haul we got.
I mean, you guys got, the multiple overtimes against Georgia Tech, and then you get to the SEC championship game and overtime again. I mean, it had to be like, we need some time off here.
I mean, yeah, that Georgia Tech game was one for the ages, man. I seen a post on Instagram where they were talking about it's the second best game of the season, man. I've never played in overtime, and for that to be my first overtime experience, it was amazing, man. And it was crazy to come out on top because every play it was like you're on the edge of your seat. As soon as the defense goes off the field, we send the offense back on. It's like, all right, man, let's go do it. All right, let's go. They messed up. Let's go do our job again. We messed up. Offense go get us back. So it was a back and forth game, man. You all saw us feeding off each other the whole time. It was fun.
What's it been like? Obviously, a big storyline for people nationally is Gunnar taking over that quarterback spot. But it feels like Kirby said, the only thing he's lacking is big game experience. He's got everything else you want in a quarterback. I got to think those 3 extra weeks working with Coach Bobo, come up with a game plan. They're going to be ready to go.
Man, I got supreme confidence in Gunnar. I know he's going to do it. He's been handling the situation very well. I got confidence in my boy. He's gonna get us through it, man. Y'all seen it in the Texas game. He did a good job leading us there. I got supreme confidence in Gunnar. He's going to get us through it, man. And he got the team behind his back. That's another thing. As long as the defense, we do our job, man, we're going to make it easy on Gunnar. Keep getting him the ball back. Just keep feeding him the ball and let him do his thing.
Let's talk with some of the offensive linemen. Obviously, they're excited for this game. Who's the toughest lineman you went up against in practice all year?
Tate Ratledge. I can't. Tate Ratledge, man. Tate Ratledge. Best offensive lineman I ever played, Tate Ratledge.
He almost looks even better after the foot thing.
Yeah. Man, it's actually insane how he still has the same pop and strength that he had before, man. I thought when he had his little injury, I was going to get a little break getting this going again. So, but he came back stronger and better, man. But Tate Ratledge, he works me every day. He's an All-American, very deserving of it, and, man, it shows in practice, man, for sure.
Talk a little bit about this backfield. Obviously, Trevor Etienne coming over, we know how good he was going to be, but even the young and Nate Frazier stepped up at some big spots this year. It feels like you guys always it's a rotation of backs back there.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to recruit, man. It's a stable. We always keep one on us, man. I feel bad for our guys that are hurt right now because they deserve to be here, deserve to play with us too because they work all hard. But, I mean, I'm proud of Nate Frazier. I'm happy that Trevor came for us because he could have went anywhere in the country. He chose to come here, man. It's a blessing to have a guy like Trevor Etienne in that backfield. He's a great running back and a great leader on this team too. Like, he stepped into the role very amazingly.
You guys on the D-line too. I mean, it feels like even when Mike Hill missed some games, I mean, it's like it's the next man up mentality, and you guys just always have somebody else stepping up, and it's just shows how well you guys are recruited, but how well you guys develop, right?
Yeah, Coach Scott just says, man, next man up. You got to work. Kirby says it all the time. You got to work while you wait. So next man up, just keep working, keep going, and whenever your time is called, you got to be able to perform because they put us in a situation in practice to where we have to be able to perform, and that's how this goes. That's why people are able to go out there and just perform and play at a high level because the people we play in practice is a lot harder than the games, man. They make it harder on purpose just to prepare us for the games and prepare our young guys. They're going against one of the best offensive lines in the country every day, so it's just a good thing to do.
Who's the toughest guy on that D-line? You can include yourself.
Toughest guy on the D-line, probably, probably Joseph Ajonia, man. He has a lot of resiliency, man. And he always keeps a smile on his face. Being a freshman, going through these injuries that he's had, and be able to come up here every day and keep a smile on his face, he's one of the toughest guys just from me seeing that.
All right, real quick scouting report on Notre Dame. What have you seen from them offensively? It seemed very balanced, right?
Yeah, they're a balanced team, but, the offensive line leads the way from them. They leads the way for them. They're a very physically based team. I heard that they don't get off the bus until the offensive line gets off the bus, so that's a great thing, man. It's going to be a great matchup. They have a really good team, really good running backs, really good culture that they have over there. And I watched the Indiana game. They're a physical team, so it's just physicality meets physicality and may the best man win.
Seeing all those games in the snow last weekend, is it nice y'all get to play in a dome here?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to play in no snow, man. I hate the cold, man. It's actually kind of crazy playing in the cold, bro. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it shows how big winning the SEC. I mean, you want to win the SEC no matter what, but the reward was getting that bye week and not having to play in any of those atmospheres.
Not having to go up there, man. That's the best part about it, man. We're blessed and fortunate to not have to play in the cold. We get the dome, and hopefully if we win it, we get to go to Miami, man.
All right, last thing, when Warren Brinson's not playing football, what are you doing?
Say what?
When you're not playing football, what are you doing?
Man, I'm probably even playing Warzone, or I'm watching YouTube, or I'm looking at my Coinbase trying to make sure my crypto's in the right place, or looking at some stocks, man, trying to get my money in order.
Well, when you're on YouTube, search Locked On SEC, all right?
Got you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Warren, thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Go Dogs.
Another piece of this Georgia team, their center, Jared Wilson. We were able to catch up with him and talk a little bit about the time he's been able to spend with Gunner Stockton and being that guy under center now as opposed to Carson Beck. Here was center Jared Wilson. Pleasure now to be catching up with Jared Wilson, starting center for the Georgia Bulldogs. And obviously, I mean, look, the big storyline here is about the change at quarterback. But you guys, with the bye week, the extra time off, how much does that kind of help in getting those extra reps, knowing that Gunner's the guy now?
I mean, I think it's huge in terms of, just having a new quarterback in there, just the connection with, especially the snaps under center, just in case we go QB sneak, those are really important. So the reps are very important.
What was the feeling? I mean, obviously, when Carson gets hurt in that SEC championship game, y'all have to switch to Gunner. I mean, obviously, you guys take a lot of reps in practice and all that, but what were those conversations like knowing, okay, he's going to be the guy the rest of this half?
I mean, nobody blinked. I was like, let's just go out here and play football. It's like we trust them just like we trust Carson. I mean, they've been in the system for a very long time. They both have. So, I mean, we was just like, let's go play ball.
Let's talk about that bond between quarterback and center. Are there a lot of differences, or do you think it's overplayed a little bit and change it to a different quarterback?
I think it is overplayed a little bit. I mean, some things that could get in the way, like I said, the snap under center and like maybe a different cadence, but like nothing is really too different. It's still, you got to snap the ball and play football, and nothing changes. So
we talk about having that extra time off. I mean, I guess it's got to be good for Coach Bobo to sit down and kind of go over the game plan with Gunner and what do you like, what do you not like, what is he comfortable with, and all that. I mean, again, do you think maybe it's a little bit too overblown of a storyline with, okay, it's just next man up?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we're all prepared. We all take reps. I think that's what the University of Georgia does in developing us. Everyone gets reps. So the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, walk-ons, everyone gets reps. So, I mean, in terms of like him developing and being ready to be the QB1, it's no different. Like, everyone's prepared.
I think Kirby said the only thing he's lacking is big game experience. He's got everything else that you want in a quarterback. What have you seen from him in the time at Georgia and how much he's grown from the first day he got there?
I mean, he's just very mature. He's just just very quiet. He's always about his work, never complains, and always smiling. Gunner's always smiling, but he comes to work every day, doesn't complain. I mean, that's just who he is. He's always been that way.
Talk a little bit about your running backs. Trevor, obviously, when he's been out there, he's been awesome, but you've leaned on some of the younger guys. Nate Frazier really stepped up in big spots this year, but what are you seeing from those running backs? Because, man, it feels like everybody's been battling health this year.
I mean, they're all just they're all mature. It might seem like a young group, but they're very mature, like you said, with all the injuries. And Nate Reagor, he came up huge in that Clemson game. He is a ball player, and I love blocking for him. I love blocking for all of our backs, man. But it's just great to have young backs that are ready to go.
You guys played a couple of overtime games your last couple of games. How much did you need this break? A little bit of time off?
Yeah, it was very much needed. The body feels back, trying to get back to what it was. So it was very much needed.
I guess you, especially on the offensive line. I mean, you're going another overtime, and you're like, can we just win this thing? Like, it's got to be I don't know. It's got to be just excruciating. Like, let's just finish this game. Let's win.
I mean, we're well conditioned. We're well prepared for the moment, and we're 60 minutes or however long it takes.
Talk a little bit about Notre Dame up front. What have you seen on film from them defensively? And they got a lot of size. It looks, if you took the logo off, it almost looks like an SEC defensive line.
I mean, they're good. They're got big guys. They move a lot. They send some pressures. I mean, they're a good physical team. Well disciplined as well.
Jared Wilson, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And lastly, before the Georgia media availability, we had a little bit of the Notre Dame media availability, and we were able to spend a couple minutes with offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, who obviously was at LSU the last couple of years, now at Notre Dame, but he's no stranger to coaching against a Kirby Smart Georgia defense. Here was a little bit of our conversation with Mike Denbrock. Here at Notre Dame, offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock. Coach, you've gone against a Georgia defense before. What's the hallmark of a Georgia defense, a Kirby Smart-led defense, that the toughness they bring? Obviously, trenches, good secondary, all that. But going against them before, what's it like going against a Georgia defense?
Yeah, I don't get a lot of sleep. Big, strong, physical, athletic, multiple in what they're able to do, use their personnel as well as anybody in the country as far as being, multi-positional and moving them around to different spots, can lock you down in the secondary. Basically a group that makes you earn every inch of every yard that you get. And you've got to be executing at a really high level. You've got to be on top of what you're asking your guys to do and make it as clear as you possibly can, and cut them loose. And it's always the type of game where, it's going to be won along the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a physical contest that we've got to be ready to get to match the strength and attitude that Georgia always brings to the football field.
I noticed, obviously, last year with Jay Daniels at LSU, he had a couple 300, 400-yard games. With Riley, it seems like mostly 200 yards because you guys have been so balanced. Has that been the MO all year, balance, run, passing, attack?
I think that's how we're built. I do think people mistake sometimes us in particular for not being able to throw the ball, or, they can't throw the ball, or we're choosing not to throw the ball because we're running it so effectively. So there's a difference between those things, obviously. And I feel very comfortable with however the game plays out, and I know Riley does too, and so do our receiving core. If we feel like we have to throw it a little bit more, then we'll have to throw it a little bit more. But we want to be balanced. We're built around the run game. That's us at our core. That's where our identity has been built offensively, and we'll continue to lean on that no matter what. But I like our development in the passing game as the season's gone along, and I think there's more there, which is exciting for, I think, the receivers and for Riley Leonard in particular, that they know that if we need it, it's there for us as well.
The last thing, your defense been so opportunistic. Has it been nice having – they're giving you a lot of short fields all this year.
Crazy how much they help everything that we do offensively, and Coach Golden and the defensive unit in particular, the job that those guys do week in and week out of causing havoc and making things difficult on the offenses that we're going against, obviously is really fun to watch, number one, and number two, it makes our job obviously offensively a little bit easier.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck, right?
Appreciate it very much. Go Irish.
All right, still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. This episode also presented to you by our friends over at FanDuel. And if you guys have not checked out FanDuel yet, go check them out. The NFL playoffs are almost here. And, of course, they got great stuff going on with FanDuel right now. The feature that they've got going on right now, if you've never bet with them before, your first $5 bet if you make that first $5 bet and you win, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets just by winning that first $5 bet. It's over at FanDuel.com. Of course, they got all the great college lines as well. They got even this Sugar Bowl game between Georgia and Notre Dame. If you feel a certain way about it, you like Georgia to cover, you like Notre Dame to pull off the upset, you could do so over at FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com, and make sure you use our code Locked On and take advantage of all the great stuff that we have over there at FanDuel. Again, NFL playoffs coming up very soon. Take advantage of that great offer. First $5 bet wins, $250 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com. And again, got you covered throughout the NFL postseason, throughout this bowl season, playoffs, and everything else. That's at FanDuel.com. One more segment here on Locked On SEC, and Greg McElroy does a tremendous job on the call for games throughout this season, and he's seen the Georgia Bulldogs more than many others out there. He's called, I believe, 5 different Georgia games this year, so we were able to catch up with Greg, talk with him about this Georgia team, and also a unique experience as a former quarterback. What's it like being thrown into the fire for a guy like Gunner Stockton taking over for Carson Beck? Here was our conversation with Greg McElroy. Catching up with Greg McElroy. And Greg, I know, gosh, you've called how many Georgia games this year? 5, I believe.
This will be our 5th, yeah.
What's it like? Or what have you seen from this team? The evolution throughout the year, and obviously the headliner with the new quarterback. But what have you seen from this team from the beginning of the year to where they are now?
You know, we had them week 1, and obviously the second half performance against Clemson was amazing. We had them week 3 or 4 against Kentucky. We had them against Auburn, and then we had them against Ole Miss. So we've seen them kind of at their very best, second half Clemson, and at their worst against Ole Miss. So kind of seeing everything in between. The other thing I would say about this Georgia team is it always felt like every time we were with them, it's like they were banged up, or like they had this guy's out, or hey, guess what, this guy can't go today, or hey, we're mixing and matching the offensive line a little bit because this guy's been struggling, he's got a shoulder, stuff like that. Haven't really ever felt like they've ever had a chance to put their best foot forward. Even in the Clemson game, week 1, they lose Mykel Williams pretty early on a block that leads to him tweaking his ankle or whatnot. So just haven't really felt like we've seen the best version of them this year. I just feel like there's more in the tank. We saw it a little bit against Tennessee. Now, how good was Tennessee? I'm not sure we know the answer to that, but I feel like there's definitely another layer to where they can potentially go with their talent and skill set. It's just we haven't quite seen them get there yet. Because you could look at the first version of the Texas game, and that was really just kind of a cacophony of errors. It's hard to be like, all right, that was them at their best, because it really wasn't a great performance offensively.
The quarterback, obviously, Gunner Stockton, getting his opportunity. I love what Kirby said. He said the only thing he's really lacking is big game experience. He's got everything else. And normal team lose their starting quarterback. They're like, pack it in. But what have you seen from Stockton in the limited sample size, and also how much having these extra weeks to kind of sit down with Mike Bobo and put together a game plan?
Well, I think it's massive. I mean, the extra time is huge. I'm not sure anyone will benefit more from the first-round bye than Georgia and having the extra. Yeah, it would have been nice to get, big game reps against a team that might not be as competitive. It would have been great to have played against a team that you'd beat badly in a playoff setting at home. That would have been awesome for Georgia. But winning in the SEC and getting an extra couple days rest is awesome. And I also think, too, one thing that I do think is an advantage for them heading into this game is that I'm not sure Notre Dame knows exactly what to prepare for, because I'm not sure, even as someone that has watched every single offensive snap of Georgia this season, I'm not sure I know what the offense is going to look like. I mean, I'm not sure Bobo knows what the offense is going to look like. I think he knows what he wants it to look like, but I don't know if for sure he knows, all right, this is exactly how it's going to go throughout the game. Like, yeah, you can plan, but is that plan going to go according to plan? Because we haven't seen the curveballs that Georgia could throw at you with Gunner Stockton at quarterback. So I do think that there is a little bit of an element of the preparation advantage that will benefit Georgia, because Notre Dame's probably preparing for some smoke and mirrors.
Are we putting too much, obviously national media, national attention, all that, but are we putting too much stock in the Stockton thing? Like, is it still, if Georgia runs the football effectively and plays dominant defense, they're going to win regardless what he does?
Yeah, we're probably putting a little too much stock into it, but I don't know how you can't. You know what I mean? It's still a team game. Quarterback play is the most important position. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Quarterback is and always has been the most important position. It's the position that can lose you the game the fastest. And a lot of games are lost at this level because guys make mistakes, because they press and they try to do too much. So I understand why we've spent as much time talking about it, but I've still kind of been a believer that the line of scrimmage will ultimately decide who wins the national championship. This game in particular, both teams I think are really good along the lines of scrimmage. Not sure we've seen it all the time from Georgia, because there have been times when I've watched their front seven defensively, I'm like, or their offensive line, I'm like, ugh. But at the same time, like, it's in there. You know what I mean? So I feel pretty confident that they'll play well, and I think the guys around Gunner Stockton will elevate their play and maybe be a little more consistent with the balance that they're going to have offensively, as opposed to the kind of one-dimensional drop-back style they became at times with Carson this year.
I always like to hit you with a couple of just quick SEC hitters. Thoughts on Jackson Arnold going from Oklahoma to Auburn? Hugh Freeze, I mean, this is his guy now. What are the expectations there?
I like Jackson Arnold's skill set. I just think Jackson Arnold was in kind of a tricky spot where the expectations, the weight of the world were on his shoulders, and we saw the same thing happen with Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. I mean, Spencer Rattler was the face of college football, and the world kind of collapsed upon him. He didn't play well, got beat out ultimately by Caleb Williams. He transferred to South Carolina, ends up having a great career. Might have taken 7 or 8 or 9 games into his South Carolina career before we saw the best version of him, but even last year, I mean, he was really, really good for South Carolina on a team that, didn't have a ton of help with what they were doing running the football. So I think Jackson Arnold is going to do a nice job. I just think rebuilding his confidence will be the biggest challenge, and because the talent's there, it's just about getting him feeling confident about his own abilities again.
One more for you real quick. LSU been dominating the transfer portal. They bring back Garrett Nussmeier. Hal Perkins announces he's coming back. What can LSU be next year under Brian Kelly?
I think they have a chance to be really good, but I think they had a chance to be really good this year too. It's just that the league has become really challenging. Like, if you don't play well, you're going to lose. I mean, it's as simple as that. And there were a few games where they just didn't play well. I think defensively, they'll have another year in the system with Blake Baker. That'll be helpful. I think there's going to be probably a point of emphasis to become more balanced offensively next year. That, I would imagine, is a high priority for Brian Kelly. I also think that they have done a really good job going to the portal and going getting pieces that they need. I mean, continued pass rush, they've added a couple pieces there. More depth at receiver, added pieces there. They're going to be healthier at running back. That'll be helpful going forward for sure. And I think the biggest question now, though, is replacing the offensive line, because they still got a couple pieces on the O-line that are not going to be there next year. And those guys were mainstays and were pretty dang reliable for a long time.
Greg, I always appreciate the time, I think.
Absolutely.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Thank you guys so much for making us your first listen every day. Remember to like and subscribe and check us out each and every day throughout the week, talking all things SEC. From New Orleans, I'm Chris Gordy. We'll be back with you later in the week talking all things SEC. Keep it locked right here to Locked On SEC. And hey, for your second listen, you go check out the guys doing Locked On Bulldogs. Daniel and Clint doing a great job talking all things Georgia, and they'll have you covered leading up to this game as well. But for now, Locked On SEC from New Orleans, Chris Gordy. Talk to you guys later this week.